Have you ever wondered, where do your requirements come from on your current project? Well, this comes down to a simple question. Do you work more in a government and military organization, or would you say you're in the commercial or industrial sector? Because those two have very different requirement sources. Let's start with the government side. First, if you're with government or military, your requirements pretty much come from the customer. Now, from there, they could come from a concept of operations document, various needs documents. Sometimes, particularly with the military, there's a consolidated document of military needs. And if our project isn't on that list, sometimes it's hard to get funded. Might be some requirements that came from their analysis of alternatives. Maybe that discovered some new requirements. The statement of work might have it. And the other source could be specifications that are actually released. So the customer will release either requirements documents that we need to adhere to, or interface documents that are really just describing the interface, but they're a requirement on us because our product has to work with their larger system. Now, this is where keeping needs in mind can be very powerful, because if we have a requirement that we don't agree with, we feel is a problem, we can go upstream. Basically, we can say, hey, where did this requirement come from? And knowing who to ask on the government side can be very helpful, because there might be some negotiation, particularly if it's a requirement that's very hard to meet and very expensive. One example might be stopping distance for a jet fighter. You know, if we're really trying to hit 400 meters and that's the requirement, well, maybe 500 meters is okay. They just want the plane to be able to land on a certain set of runways, for example. Now, the other side of this is if you're in a commercial or working for industry. From there, now we're talking the market as driving the requirements. So we'll have marketing analyses. Sales may be involved, because sales, they talk a lot with the customer directly. They have a lot of wisdom there. So, surveys, also Google tools. There's a way to find out what the hottest Google search terms are. Maybe there's a particular feature there or a term set that we could find where we might consider incorporating into our product. There's looking at the competition. For instance, some digital cameras for photography. Some of them are coming with some very advanced in-camera image stabilization. Basically, it makes the photos not look as shaky if you have low light. There's a lot of technology there. So there's research and development on how to bring this image stabilization technology, so not fuzzy photos, into a product line. Once we've assessed our competitors, we might look to our previous product chain. So if we have a previous product, a lot of times we'll take those requirements and use those as a starting point. Now, that can be a very handy way to get started and do some prototypes. However, I want to issue some caution. Be careful if you're just copying over from the previous product or for government from the previous program. Because there, if we just copy it verbatim, word for word, and we're not doing a little bit of analysis at least, we can copy unnecessary requirements, we can copy over flaws, and if it was very expensive to meet a certain requirement because of the wording or because it was unclear, we'll carry over that cost, which we don't need to. So again, moving requirements from the previous program, the previous product can be helpful. Do that carefully. This should help you with where requirements come from. If you have any other questions on this, message me below, reach out. I have some other resources that dig a little deeper into requirements. And before you leave requirements, also consider the needs. Because on both sides, requirements come from meeting some pain point, whether it's a commercial product or even meeting a government or military pain point. Someone had a need and had money to meet the need. And then the engineering process started to come from requirements. So if you can go upstream to the needs, know that things can be flexible. Maybe not so much with the government side, but with commercial, a lot of times if you can't meet a requirement, but to meet it, we'll be late, we'll miss our delivery date, then forget it. We'll just leave it, it'll be close enough, we'll let the market judge us. Let me know what you think.